Hey, how's it going, everyone? Brad Smith here with HealthLink. I'm looking for the top health and fitness experts throughout the world, and I'm joined with another health expert, Kara Thorsen out of Montreal. How are you today, Kara?
I'm good. Thank you, Brad.
Hey, thank you so much for joining me. You're the owner of the Little Yoga Room in Montreal, but you're
Yep.
also mobile. You travel and help out a lot of people. So tell us a little bit
Yep.
about who you are and what your business is.
Well, the business is a private Iyengar studio. Iyengar yoga is one of the first methods to come to the United States. BKS was here in 1950, and probably if you're practicing yoga, it's because he traveled from India to the United States to introduce it to the masses, so to say.
Wow.
So that's what I do, that's what I practice, and that's what our studio is.
Okay. And now you said it's in Montreal, but you have people travel from Vancouver, and you're also going to New York. Tell me a little bit about that side of it, where people can find you in Montreal, and then where you'll be traveling to.
We're located in Villeray, and like I said, we're a small studio. So typically the classes on a weekly basis are between 8 and 10 people. Sometimes they get stuffed to 11. Sometimes they're as low as 3 or 4. Then when I travel, it's larger groups because I'm brought into a larger group. And so when I travel, it's that. There's Skype sessions, and there's also one. He was my very first private, and he comes from Vancouver and back and forth. And he also works in humanitarianism. So it's really nice. I learn from him, he learns from me. Very harmonious.
Okay, awesome. All right, so I want to get your background story, why you got started um, helping others with this. And let's talk about the Iyengar way. Did
I
I say it
are.
right? All right, cool.
Yep.
Yeah, give us the backstory.
Well, I was diagnosed with a scoliosis when I was a young teenager. And I was told that I was going to be put in a back brace or have a surgery. And of course, that had my head turning. So as a young adult, I was 22 when I started practicing yoga. And the name Iyengar was always in my mind, but I knew it was very rigorous. So I wasn't sure that that was the road that I wanted to go. But I was always thinking about where my body was placed skeletally, muscularly, neuro and musculoskeletally, as well as organal and everything. Figuring out the patterns between the physical body and the mental body. And so then finally I attended my first Iyengar yoga class, and I said, oh my God, this is how I practice. So this is obviously where I need to be. And it was in my first Iyengar class that I said, there's nothing else I want to do with my life. I'm 47 now, and my practice has been since 22. And there's not a day of boredom. There's always something
Let,
to fix.
so are you completely healed now of or how did that work? How did the yoga help?
Definitely the curve in my spine, and people wouldn't even notice it. It has definitely worked to maintain that, and some people can, some people can't. I mean, my practice, like I say, has been since I was 22, so it's over 25 years I'm practicing. It wasn't the first year that there were huge changes. I mean, there were huge changes that first year, but now those changes are more and more subtle. You get into the deeper layers of the body, and I realize with any physical pattern, there's a mental pattern. And scoliosis is definitely, there's a thought pattern. It's a scoliatic process of the mind, and it can be very stubborn. We have to bend and curve to get through life. And then when we have to straighten back out, it's pretty aggressive mentally because it challenges who we are. It's confronting to figure out our shortcomings.
Wow, that's interesting. So tell me, you went through your own success story. I feel like that's probably one of the best success stories you could give. Tell me the type of people that you work with.
So success stories, for me, I think anyone who's coming is a success story. I have a group of women that come on Monday mornings, and they have been with me for 5 years, and they all started as grandparents and went through their retirement. And I think that's so courageous, and that is a success story. So, I mean, as far as it goes, I think anyone who wants to better their life and comes to yoga to seek it out and to actually participate and stay there, then that is a success. Because many of us, when it gets hard, we run, you know, and they don't. So everyone is a success story. But I do understand what you're saying. So my physical change would be the success story for me.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it helps you with all of your your clients that you work with too, telling them your
Absolutely.
background and where you came from.
Yeah, absolutely. Because then they can understand that changes can happen. Changes can happen, but we have to be. One of the things that it isolates Iyengar yoga from others is the responsibility factor. We are responsible for our bodies. So I may be able to transmit some tools, but I can't make the changes for you. You're the one who has to make those changes for you. And that's where it gets confronting. That's where it gets scary. But I find that people aren't scared. They go right in. They want to change. They want to improve.
And it might, I think it has to do with your coaching also. Having the right coach to teach you and motivate you and get you started, I think goes a long way for somebody.
Personal. When someone's coming to the essence of you, I know from my own teachers, because there are times where I am cursing or wishing, oh my God, why am I here? Why do I do this with my life? But when I come out of that frustration, I realize, oh, okay, it's true. It's only me who can make those changes, and they just push me to my edges, and we need that. And then they're graceful about bringing me back as well. So it's a level of compassion. Sometimes we have to give them what they don't want, right, so that they have what they need. And it's a delicate balance, such as life, right?
I think this is very unique because you mentioned before the interview that you had a coach or somebody that was getting you into this that you worked with for over 8 years. What was that like? What was that process like working with a
It,
coach?
it's very intense, because they become a mentor for life. And it's interesting. I just took to backdrop a little bit. I just took a workshop with one of the highest elevated Iyengar teachers in the world. I think he's one of two. And these teachers become sort of celebrities for us in the Iyengar world, and we place them on pedestals where they're just humans. And there can be a lot of ego in that, because you've got so many people worshiping you, and oh, I studied with him or I studied with her, and so that puts me above the rest, and da 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 da
Right.
da. And you have to be careful of that. It's a really intimate relationship, and so the teachers also have to remain humble, that they know they're being worshipped, they know they're being put on a pedestal, and to take that pedestal and abuse it can be damaging. And sometimes we find that we have to move away in order to come closer, and sometimes we find we meet on the same paths. But it's an interesting question that you asked, because yeah, it's an intimate process. It's a very intimate process, and both have to be careful.
Well, I think it definitely helps you as a coach now that you worked with a coach for that long. You saw the good, the bad, and different things to now help more people out.
Yeah, and one of the differences with Iyengar yoga also is that it's I don't want to say it's compulsory that we continue our studies. You don't become a teacher and then it's done. Okay, I don't ever have to study again. I know it all. It's compulsory that we continue our studies and our education, and work with the body and the body sciences, and find out more in our practice. And if I can, one thing that I find really unique in the Iyengar tradition is that you see every Iyengar teacher is under the umbrella of Iyengar. You see how steadfast we are to Mr. Iyengar and his method. But because our practice and our continuing education is compulsory, it becomes very personal. So the things that speak to me in my practice may not be what another teacher gets, but that's what I transmit in my class. And what another teacher finds in their practice is what they transmit. So it's really a beautiful process, because we get right into the essence of being human, which is a gift, because very often we neglect that being human to be something else, to be superhuman or
Right.
what have you.
I think that's a great story, and I'm glad that we touched on that. And thanks for diving a little bit deeper into that. Also, I want to get into the symptoms. If I have some sort of symptom, what symptoms would I be suffering from or going through in my life to want to get started with you?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the beginning of that.
So I wanted to jump into the symptoms and what somebody would be experiencing to need to or want to get started with you.
Well, anxiety is a big one, and
Okay.
stress. And not just mental or emotional stress, but a physical stress, because they do, it's the cyclical effect. When we have stress, we have fear. When we have fear, we have hardening. So it just keeps running over. So I find people come for different reasons. People come because they want to get closer to themselves. People come because they're in pain and they want to figure out how to get out of pain. People come because their friends are coming, and so they want to do what their friends are doing, and it becomes an atmosphere where they do something unique. It's very personal, I find, but more often than not, people want to come because they want to know themselves. And I think that that's what is unique about Iyengar Yoga. He gives us a platform to use the body as capital to know the mind. And that's important
Perfect.
for all of us.
That's a great answer. And I think, anybody watching right now, we definitely want to, have everyone check your business out and check you out. Is the best place to go to your website, thelittleyogoroom.com, or are you pretty active on social?
Sure. And the website is going to be going over a revamping soon. So go on, but I know that there's a bit troubleshooting happening right now. The littleyogaroom.com, and also on Facebook. Facebook, I'm definitely more present on, and I put out a weekly tutorial on Wednesdays called Meet the Resistance. So you can watch that and see if you can bring that, or see a little bit of what we do and how we do it. And then voila.
Well, that's cool that you offer that. Let's jump into your travel schedule coming up. You said mentioned you're going to New York. How does that work with where you're traveling and people working with you?
Well, I'm really honored because it was the very first place that I started studying in New York that invites me back every year to teach there. So I'm actually teaching my first teacher, which is super humbling.
Wow.
She's the one who got me into Iyengar Yoga. And I remember when I was toying with doing my exams, and I said, is it true that if I start doing Iyengar Yoga or get certified in Iyengar Yoga, I can't do anything else? And she said, Kara, I don't know if that's exactly true, but I don't know why you would want to. And I thought, wow, that has stayed with me forever. And the more I learn about Iyengar Yoga, the more I understand he really had it all. He had it all the new body sciences that are coming out. I haven't seen one of them that has been his equal. And this was, 50, 60 years ago. So he really gave the world a gift. And all right, so when I travel, sorry. So I'm in New York in November, and hopefully I'll be in the Caribbean teaching in October. And if not, then it'll be strictly a vacation. But I'm hoping that that I'm able to teach there. And then this winter, I think it's going to be pretty much focusing on studies, and then maybe next year going back out into doing more workshops. And I'll focus on the little yoga room keep things central for a moment.
Right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Kara. We definitely recommend you, your business, what you're offering, and we want to send everyone to your website and your Facebook page. So anybody watching, if you want to check out Kara, go to her Facebook page. We'll make sure we post the links either above the video or below, so people can easily click on them and contact you from there if they ever want to get started.
Wonderful. And just so you know, I teach in French and English. I am in Montreal, so if that's an issue for any people that are watching, there's no problems. It's French and English.
Well, that's really unique then. That's awesome. It's good that you offer that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining me again, Kara. Yeah, I appreciate it. And I want to encourage everyone watching, thank you for watching. Check out Kara, and I want to encourage you to live a healthier life, and we will see you on the next video episode. Thanks, Kara.
Great. Thank you so much.